During World War II, Allied forces fought side by side across some of the harshest battlefields in history. Every nation brought its own reputation, tactics, and traditions into the war. But there were moments when expectations were completely shattered. In one unforgettable situation, British officers witnessed something from Canadian troops they never saw coming. It wasn't just courage. It wasn't just discipline. It was a level of determination that changed how they were viewed forever. Before we continue, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and support our history community. And don't forget to comment. As the war intensified across Europe, Canadian forces became deeply involved in Allied operations, often fighting alongside British units. They were expected to support major offensives and hold difficult positions under constant pressure. At first, some British officers viewed the Canadians as dependable, but relatively inexperienced compared to long-established military traditions within the British Army. The Canadians noticed it too, the quiet assumptions, the lowered expectations. But war has a way of changing perceptions quickly, because on the battlefield, reputation means little without action. And when one critical operation placed Canadian troops in an impossible situation, everything began to change. Conditions were difficult, the enemy position was heavily defended, and many believed the objective would be nearly impossible to secure without major losses, yet the Canadians prepared to move forward anyway. What happened next would leave even experienced British officers stunned. As Allied operations continued during World War II, Canadian and British forces often fought side by side under extremely difficult conditions. Mud, artillery fire, exhaustion, and constant uncertainty became part of daily life on the front lines. During one major operation, Canadian troops were assigned a dangerous objective that many considered extremely difficult. The terrain offered little cover, enemy defenses were strong, and advancing meant moving directly into heavy resistance. British officers observing the situation expected the attack to slow quickly under pressure. The odds appeared overwhelming, and the risks were clear to everyone involved. But the Canadians moved forward anyway, step by step, position by position. Even as conditions worsened, they continued advancing with determination that surprised many around them. Communication remained steady, units stayed organized, and despite intense resistance, the momentum did not collapse. For the British officers watching closely, something became impossible to ignore. The Canadians were not simply following orders. They were showing a level of resilience and discipline that exceeded expectations. The atmosphere began to change. Doubt turned into respect, because what they were witnessing was not reckless action. It was controlled determination under pressure, and as the operation continued, the Canadians pushed even further than anyone had predicted. As the battle intensified during World War II, the pressure on the Canadian troops continued to grow. Enemy resistance remained strong, and every advance came with new challenges. But the Canadians refused to lose momentum. Even under heavy fire, they adapted quickly, coordinated effectively, and continued moving toward their objective. Their determination began to influence everyone around them. British officers watching the operation noticed something unexpected. The Canadians were not breaking under pressure. They were becoming stronger within it. Positions that seemed impossible to reach were slowly secured. Communication between units remained disciplined, and morale held firm despite exhaustion and danger. For many British officers, this was a turning point in perception. The assumptions they once held about Canadian troops no longer matched reality. These soldiers had proven themselves not only capable, but exceptional under difficult conditions. Respect grew rapidly, not through speeches, not through reputation, but through action on the battlefield. By the end of the operation, the Canadians had earned something important: recognition. not because they demanded it, but because their performance made it impossible to deny. The operation became more than a military success. It became a moment that strengthened the reputation of Canadian forces among their allies, and from that point forward, many British officers viewed them very differently. As World War II continued, moments like this helped redefine how Allied forces viewed one another. The operation involving the Canadian troops became more than just a successful mission. It became a lasting example of courage, discipline, and determination under pressure. For the British officers who witnessed it, the experience changed old assumptions. The Canadians had proven that they could handle some of the toughest conditions on the battlefield with remarkable resilience, and they had done it through action, not words. Over time, Canadian forces earned a strong reputation throughout the Allied campaign in Europe. They became known for their reliability, adaptability, and willingness to take on difficult objectives. This moment contributed to that growing respect. It reminded everyone involved that war often reveals strengths people never expected to see. History frequently focuses on famous commanders and major battles, but stories like this highlight something equally important: the way trust and respect are earned between those fighting side by side. Because in the end, alliances are not built only through strategy. They are built through shared hardship, shared sacrifice, and moments where individuals rise beyond expectations. For the Canadian troops in this story, that moment became part of a larger legacy, one remembered not just for victory, but for earning the respect of those who once underestimated them.